How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another video. So today I wanted to talk about something that's been going around Twitter quite a bit, especially in regards to what was said yesterday in the actual hearing by Phil Spencer in the way PlayStation does its practices, where it's not just PlayStation, but in the fact that Microsoft just has to pay more in regards to getting exclusive deals. And in the end, I guess they just decided that it's just not worth it and they'll buy the company instead. I mean, they've got the capacity to do it, and why not? Now, it's actually been noted that yesterday the FTC said the word PlayStation 77 times in relation to consumer 11 times. So it's really weird how and why the FTC is so hellbent in defending Sony. I actually can't really think of a reason as to why they are so determined to protect the market leader. Now, instead of putting in place, measures to make the industry more competitive, they're basically making it more anti-competitive. There's two ways of looking at this, honestly. I mean, what would happen if Microsoft just shut shop today? Microsoft would have, Sony would have a monopoly, which would completely go against everything the FTC wants, or maybe it is what the FTC wants. I don't know. But it's just weird how, in a situation where Microsoft would shut shop today and call it quits, the FTC, I feel, would be more than happy for that to happen and for them to see Microsoft just leave the industry. I don't get it. But the way Twitter is reacting right now is kind of a blaze. But I kind of understand where Microsoft is coming from. Don't get me wrong, they kind of have themselves to blame for some of this. In fact, for most part of it, they kind of took their foot off the pedal. They haven't kept up with Sony. Sony has been delivering exclusive after exclusive. They've maintained a superior high quality on their IPs, and no matter what you actually say about them, they are they are well received. They are good. They've got good stories. The gameplay is generally okay, even if they are, as people put it, copy and paste over the shoulder walking simulator with cutscenes. It's what the public wants. It's what the community wants, and it's delivering. And Xbox just hasn't delivered on games. I don't care what anyone says. They haven't. And because of this, they've fallen so far behind. Well, they have a serious problem in keeping up with the actual gaming economy. Now, clearly they've seen that going down the route of hardware and trying to keep up with Sony just isn't going to work. And this is why they've decided that they're going to go the cloud route, the play anywhere route, to try and appeal to as many people, to try and build that base. And Game Pass is that way of doing it. But I also understand that, especially what they revealed with Activision, where for Sony it was like almost peanuts to get the game agreed upon to go over and be made on PlayStation, but for Microsoft it cost an arm and a leg to actually get it on there, and they had to pay a really high cost to get that game for their customers. So in this regard, I kind of understand. And with Sony going in with their market share swooping more and more exclusives, well, it was clear that Starfield was going to be a PlayStation exclusive. And I don't think, no matter how much money Xbox threw at them, that was actually going to change. So the only way to guarantee Starfield on Xbox, as they said in the hearing yesterday, was to just buy out their competition. And that's exactly what they did. They went in and said, right, Bethesda, we'll give you $7 billion. Do you accept? And the guy was like, hell yeah, give me that $7 billion. I give it to my shareholders and we're out. And that's pretty much what they did. Now, Sony, of course, has been buying studios throughout the whole of this campaign, right? Throughout the whole of this hearing. And I don't think anyone really has batted an eye. Bungie went through without any questions at all, and they're still buying small studios left, right, and center. Be it, tiny studios or big studios that make PlayStation games only. But at the same time, people crying that, Xbox is removing Indiana Jones from PlayStation. Well, it's a PlayStation, it's an Xbox owned studio now, right? Stellar Blade, which isn't a PlayStation-owned studio, which was having financial trouble, PlayStation went in to fund it, but they funded it with the condition that the Xbox version gets cancelled and is not released, and it becomes a PlayStation exclusive. You can't have it okay for one and not the other. Now, I'm not saying that what either of them are doing is correct, but if PlayStation's going to do it, it's okay for Xbox to do it. And this is going to continue to happen. Something else that came up yesterday is the Activision information about some games on Activision will be exclusive. And, well, that's a no-brainer, right? I don't think Call of Duty will ever be exclusive. I don't think Diablo, Overwatch will ever be exclusive. Those games just don't make sense to be exclusive. They're just way too big. World of Warcraft is a PC game, but I can see them porting that over to Xbox only because, well, at the moment it doesn't exist on any console, and well, PlayStation has Final Fantasy XIV, which they either A, they won't let come over to Xbox, or B, Yoshi P just doesn't feel it's worth it to come over to Xbox. But I can see them putting WoW only on Xbox, and that may upset people, not upset people, I don't know. But games like that I can see just being one-sided. That I can see. Also, smaller Activision games that just aren't as high profile as Diablo, Overwatch, and, you know, Call of Duty. I can also see them going exclusive as well. You don't pay $70 billion and then decide to release all your games on another platform, right? It just doesn't happen. And the actual fact is, if Sony had bought Activision and was in this position right now where they did buy Activision, I don't think the FTC would have batted an eye. I genuinely don't think so. They have something invested in Sony, or they have just a big stick for Microsoft. They don't want Microsoft to buy this. I still believe my original point stands, that this is purely a political case now. They don't want big tech expanding any more than it already is. They don't care about the video games industry. They've clearly demonstrated that they have no knowledge of the video games industry. I mean, they don't even know the difference between a first and third party game. They didn't even know that you don't need a Windows license to stream a game. I mean, they were talking about streaming games on a phone. You know, Sarah Bond was talking how you can stream games on your phone, your tablet, and then they asked a question like they're about to get a gotcha moment about you need a Windows license to stream your games, though, don't you? It's like, are you this stupid? Like, are you that dumb? And even yesterday, the FTC lawyer clearly saw, right, that he was losing ground fast when Phil Spencer made that declaration on oath, right, that Call of Duty will be on PlayStation 5, and then he later amended that statement by saying Call of Duty will be on PlayStation 5 and all future PlayStation consoles. At that point, he pretty much lost the harm to PlayStation 5. I mean, they're literally lawyers for PlayStation 5 at this point, and they lost that case right there and then. They lost it. And that is why he quickly tried to rebut it and gain some ground by saying, what about Diablo? Do you promise that for Diablo? But Diablo wasn't even in the question. And then he turned around and said, well, what about cloud gaming? Can you promise that for cloud gaming? And at that point, the judge coolly turned around and said, look, dude, they don't need to offer you cloud gaming. They've already offered to put the game on the console. That is enough. Because the FTC basically lost their case there and then in regards to that point. Now, the whole conversation regarding the vertical progression and cloud gaming, that still remains a thing. Whether Judge Corley sees that as a separate market or one where it's a connected one will basically determine whether Microsoft win this case or not. If they see that cloud gaming is a separate market, the Judge Corley may decide that certain remedies need to be placed. They may accept the EC remedies and say these are good enough for us. They may not accept the EC remedies and say we need additional remedies in place to protect cloud gaming. But if they don't and they see it as one big market, not only did the FTC at that point lose the console harm argument, but they will lose the market definition argument as well, and that is where the key point is. Now, the trial will continue on Tuesday, and hopefully I'll be able to listen in on that as well. Places are very, very limited, so you have to be super quick to get in. But it's interesting how the PlayStation fans are okay when it comes to Spider-Man, Wolverine being exclusive to PlayStation, but the moment Indiana Jones is exclusive to Xbox, it doesn't matter whether they renegotiate it or not. It's irrelevant. It's 100% irrelevant. The fact that Indiana Jones is exclusive to Xbox now is like a huge, huge deal. It blows my mind. But the fact that the FTC focused more on Sony yesterday, mentioning Sony 77 times, and didn't give two shits about the consumer base, basically, by mentioning them 11 times. I mean, that's a big difference, right? The FTC is supposed to be protecting the consumer. It's supposed to be competitive for the consumer, not for corporations. What is best for competition for the consumer? Now, I get, as a PlayStation player, myself as well, not having certain games on my platform is a problem. But you know what? I also have a PC, and if I want to play Xbox games, I mean, I have a Series X as well, of course. But I mean, I've got the whole lot. But if I wanted to, and I didn't have an Xbox, I can play through the cloud through Game Pass, or I can buy the games on Steam, or I can play it for GeForce Now, as they are coming to GeForce Now. Whether they'll be on their day and date is different, but I assume they will be. So, what's the problem? Console gaming is such a small market now, and it's shrinking every day. It's not growing at the pace of mobile gaming. More and more phones are able to stream games today, and depending on the region that you're in, they are soon to become the main platform for your games. It blows my mind how, okay, you're going to lose about 40 million players there, but you're gaining like potentially 1 billion players by allowing people, allowing those games to go to the cloud. 1 billion players is better than 40 million. The greater good and all that. So, what is the FTC fighting for here? It just doesn't make any sense. And the other thing that really caught me off guard was the fact that the FTC's argument was identical to the CMA. And they've been arguing all this time that they haven't been colluding with the CMA. Yet their arguments were identical. And as Phil Spencer pointed out, he's already corrected the CMA. And the CMA, at that point, realized the errors of their ways and threw out the console harm argument, and then decided to panic for the last 4 weeks and go for anything that would actually stick, and they got cloud gaming. But the FTC is still going on that case that there's harm to Sony. And I don't believe there is. I genuinely don't. At the end of the day, the major titles will be there. Overwatch is going to be there. Diablo is going to be there, even though it wasn't confirmed, because at the end of the FTC lawyer knew that he lost the moment Phil made that declaration. So he was trying to do anything to gain any form of, credibility. And even then, the judge just shut him down because she literally saw that he was starting to badger the witness. He had lost. It's like one of the other points that they were adding in, saying if Microsoft buy Activision, Call of Duty could have exclusive content on Xbox, and that would be unfair on Sony. Let me repeat what I just said there. If Call of Duty goes on Xbox, they could have exclusive content that isn't on Sony's PlayStation, and that would be unfair. Is anyone else here seeing the irony in that? Like, anyone at all? And this is why I'm saying the FTC is purely defending Sony at this point. And it's so weird. I don't get it. I don't understand why, I mean, they are so biased right now towards Sony and defending Sony, even though the stuff that they are complaining that Microsoft might do, Sony is doing right now. And they don't care. It's okay for Sony to do it. But for Microsoft to do it, hell, holy Lord, hellfire's gonna rain. Like, how weird is that? How crazy is that? I mean, the Call of Duty cosmetics, items, exclusive stuff, exclusive operators, exclusive game modes, that's okay because it's on PlayStation. The FTC approves this 100%. But for Microsoft to do anything like that, it's blasphemy. It's criminal. It's insanity. It's unfair. Why? See, I want, on a certain level, for this to actually fail. I know Microsoft want this for King especially, so they can get that mobile, their foot in mobile, because they don't really have a foot in mobile, and they want to break the duopoly, start their own storefront, and get it going, right? That, to me, that's always been their main aim. The Activision and Blizzard side has been like the icing on the cake, but their main goal has always been King. I secretly kind of want this in a way to not be successful, and when it doesn't, at that point, I just want Satya Nadella to just give a blank checkbook, and then to go to Capcom, Sega, Square Enix, you name it, Konami, From Software, and just say, right, how much do you want for that game to be exclusive? Go to Rockstar Studios, GTA 6. Give them as much money as they want to make it an Xbox exclusive. Because this is what should happen for the FTC to realize that what they're about to do has caused that action. I mean, if I was Microsoft and the deal fell through, that is what I would do. I would go to all of these publishers, check out all the big games that are coming, and say, right, how much do you want to make this game exclusive for 1 year, 2 years, whatever it is, or indefinitely on Xbox? Put it day one on Game Pass, make it exclusive to the Xbox platform. How much? And then just pay whatever they want. Because at that point, it doesn't matter what Sony says. Because Sony says doing contract deals is fine, right? And that's what all the players are saying, on Twitter. So when you're losing all of those games, will it still be the same? Will it be the same? Will you still have that same perspective? Will you still have that same notion when you lose all the Capcom games, all the Square Enix games, all the Sega games, all the From Software games, all of these games? Just go to Activision and say, right, I'm dropping down $3 billion. I want this game exclusive to Xbox. Call of Duty. Boom. After 2024, make it exclusive. All marketing rights to Microsoft, everything. I mean, is this in my opinion, I would do that. Because that is what they want. And if that's what they want, they'll get it. At least I would do it. But you know what? Business is business, right? Business works on money. It doesn't work on petty feud. But if I was in charge, that's what I would do. I would go and make everything exclusive just to see what would happen. Just to see the outcry. Just to see the outrage. Because at that point, it's fair game. I've outbid you, and I've paid the money. And there's nothing you can do about it. I don't know. I've never seen a regulator defend the market leader as much as the FTC. And one has to wonder, why this is the case. I'd really love for the FTC to come out and explain why this is the case, because they are defending the market leader so vigorously that the consumer is not even the main point of their discussion. It's all Sony. And, you know, I get Sony, and then that people are going to say by association that's the consumer. That's not correct. That is not correct. They are not protecting the consumer because they're not even taking the consumer into consideration in any of their arguments, in any of their points. The only thing they're taking into consideration is Sony. And you have to ask, why? And I really hope Judge Corley can ask these questions, even though she probably won't. But over the next week, I'm hoping that these arguments will come out, and you know, these sort of questions will think, because Phil Spencer, like mentioned, Sony has Final Fantasy 16, which is exclusive and isn't on the Xbox platform, and that's a big loss. But there's also games like Silent Hill 2, which is PlayStation exclusive, and among others, loads of games that are exclusive that just won't see the day of light. So when the FTC turns around and says, nope, we want every Bethesda game, every Activision game to be non-exclusive and be on PlayStation, well, why doesn't that work the other way round? It absolutely should. But they're not doing that. And it doesn't make sense. And I'm hoping the judge isn't stupid, because the judge should ask these questions, right? Why are you okay with all Xbox games being multi-plat, non-exclusive, but not for the market leader? I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me. It blows my mind, and I don't know. I just wanted to talk about it because it was something that was bugging me, and I feel like, you know, this is something I just wanted to air my view. And once you've all watched it, let me know what your thoughts are, your views are on this. And because it bugs me, it really does. I mean, I tweeted out today, the FTC is a PlayStation exclusive, and I stand by that. They're not an independent, neutral regulator. They are a PlayStation exclusive regulator, because all they look out for is PlayStation. And with that, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Remain legend.